stories are true. Who knows? Maybe once we flew in the light of day and didn't fear any creature. But now we live in the night, and we've lived in the night for millions of years. And is it really so bad? It's certainly not worth dying for. But it's not right, he said doggedly. We shouldn't be banished. Didn't do anything. And what the owls do? Shade, it's the way things are. But what about the promise? My father thought it had something to do with the banns. Well, Casil always had unusual ideas, and after he got banded, he became more convinced the promise was about to come true. It was a sign, he thought. What was he looking for when he got killed? Wouldn't tell me. He was very excited and said he had to go check something, but he promised he'd be back in 2 nights. Maybe he was meeting with other bats. Maybe he was trying to find the humans who banded him. I don't know. After 2 nights, the whole colony left Hibernaculum on the summer migration. I stayed behind another night, and then one more just in case, and then I knew the owls must have taken him, so I left and caught up with the others. Shade didn't say anything. For the first time he could see how terrible it must have been for her, waiting alone for her mate, having to give up and rejoin the colony, knowing she would never see him again. Frida said there was others who were banded. Ariel nodded, and most of them disappeared too, before Casil. There are not many left, a few of the males. Maybe they know where he went that night. She gazed at him fiercely. It doesn't matter, Shade. Listen to me. I want you to live. When everyone said you would die, and you were too small, I didn't give up. It's a miracle you survived. It really is. She looked so suddenly tired that Shade pushed his face gently against her fur. He didn't want her to worry. Sorry, he said. Are you scared about the journey south? He couldn't remember ever telling her he was, but she seemed to know anyway. A little, I guess. You'll be fine. I'll be with you the whole time, and free to make sure no one ever falls too far behind. What if I do, though? Do you want me to tell you about the route we'll take? Shade nodded. It seemed like a good idea, just in case. I can't tell you all of it. It would take too long, but I can describe some of the landmarks. Close your eyes and concentrate. Ariel pressed her forehead against his and began to sing. A brilliant silvery landscape flared up from the darkness. A forest, a clearing, and a high oak rising up, spreading branches. It was Treehaven. You can do it too, Shade exclaimed, pulling back. It's just like the echo chamber. I'll teach you how to do it one day. Listen. She began again, and Shade, eyes clamped tight, watched as his beloved Treehaven, looking as it did before the owls burned it, became smaller and smaller, fading in the distance as if he was flying away from it. Now the magical landscape was changing, dissolving like 1,000 pinpricks of light and suddenly reforming. He was skimming high over treetops, and then he spotted the barn below them, the barn where they were now roosting. He soared past it as if he were traveling 1,000,000 wing beats a second, until, up ahead, he saw a huge human tower, taller than any tree. What was it? As he hurtled closer, the top of the great tower flashed, and just as quickly blinked out. He was about to ask his mother what it was, but he was already racing past the tower and could see that it rose from a rocky clearing on the edge of the water. But this wasn't like the stream where they drank. This black water spread out and out away from the land until it met the night sky in a flat, dreadful line. Mom, what is that place? Shade, just listen. He veered away from the tower, following the bony ridge where the earth met the water, traveling so quickly he felt breathless, as if he really were pounding his wingtips to keep up. Then before him an upside-down constellation of stars, bigger and denser than the stars themselves, spreading out in all directions. Then a metal cross, and the stars swirling around it, and a hollow clanging bong, 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 which made his ears twitch. And now one star in the sky, glowing more brightly than the others. Now the ears of a giant white wolf, and ice everywhere, and a broad torrent of water, crashing, roaring, sending up a spray. Then his mind went dark with silence. His eyes popped open, and he gazed at his mother in wonder. Did you see it all? She asked. I think so, but there were things I don't understand. What was that big tall tower, and... I'll explain tomorrow night, she said. The best thing is just remember the pictures and sounds I sang to you. They're the most important landmarks on the journey. We should get some sleep. We'll reach Stonehold tomorrow. You'll get to meet your brothers." Shade grunted. They'd think he was a runt, probably. Pressed close to his mother, he wrapped his wings tight around his body, folded his tall ears under for extra warmth. It was colder here than in Tree Haven, and he shivered a few times before warming up. He heard his mother's breathing become soft and slow, and still his mind was busily churning. There was no point just feeling sorry for what had happened. That wouldn't bring his father back, or bring back Tree Haven, or stop the owls from hunting them. He would have to do something, and in the calm, floating moments before sleep finally took him, he understood what he must do. At Stonehold he would meet the other banded bats who knew his father. He would talk to them, get them to tell him what they knew, what really happened to Casil. He would find out what the bands meant. Maybe it would mean going to the place where the other bats had disappeared, but he would learn the secret of